Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. We have breaking news that's coming out here July 24th, 2018 out of Syria. According to Amman News, exclusive Syrian army prepares for the mother of all battles in Idlib. And those of you that may know, we have talked so many times how that President Bashar al-Assad, every time he would allow the surrendering jihadist forces that was fighting against his government, most of the time they would always choose Idlib to go to. And in fact, in an interview with Murad Gazdia with RT, President Bashar al-Assad said the reason for going to Idlib, in his mind, was much better for them to deal with than just them going to different locations throughout Syria. He said, after all, eventually we would have to deal with them, and we would rather have them in one place rather than scattered all over Syria. Well, that's actually coming to fruition now. As we're getting this report from Amman News out of Lebanon, it says here, the Syrian Arab army is prepared to launch a new offensive in northwest Syria after a successful campaign in southern provinces of Al-Quneitra and Dara, military source told the Al-Masada News this evening. In fact, if you looked at our photo on the YouTube page that we put up here this evening as we was getting ready, that's just out there near Quneitra. That is one of the suburbs of Damascus that we photographed ourselves there from the border with Syria since the civil war began. According to the military source, the elite Tiger forces will head towards the Idlib governorate axis in the next few weeks, claiming that they will concentrate on retaking the Al-Ghahab plain and Jish al-Shagur district. The source added that the Tiger forces will move towards the Idlib governorate once they have fully defeated the Islamic State ISIS in the Yarmouk Basin region of southwest Dara. Now, this is very interesting when you begin to look at this and what the Syrian government is planning on doing, and also in relation to the news that's coming out right now. Now, Amichai Stein was reporting from Israel that says here in Hebrew right here, as Israel and Russia have come to an agreement for the Iranian Guard to be 100 kilometers from its border. But in reality, there is some controversy over whether or not Israel is agreeing for the Iranian forces to be that far away. According to Reuters, a source that they had on their side, they're saying that Israel rebuffs Russia over to keep Iranian forces from the Golan, according to the officials there. It says Israel was not in agreement at all with Foreign Minister Lavrov over doing this, and said that Israel would not even allow Iranian forces 100 kilometers from their border. Now, I can see what's actually going on. If we can jump over real quick, let's run over to Google Maps here, and I'd like to share with you. Eventually, I really need to get a map system here that we can use with color and stuff. It'd be a heck of a lot better than what we're dealing here. Let me just, one moment here, guys. Let me see if I can't figure out how to do this here. I know what I want to do here. Let's go like this here. We will go with Syria maps. There we go. Maybe I can come, there we go, right there. All right, so as we're looking here at Syria, and we have to look at Israel, here's the Golan right there. Now, the 100 kilometers right there would put pretty much Damascus, everything all the way up to Yabarut. But Israel said they would not even allow beyond that. They don't want Iranians in Syria nowhere. And of course, the reason for this, as it seems to be obvious, is if you go up to Idlib, Idlib is just southwest of Aleppo. Remember, Aleppo was one of the most fierce battles fought inside of Syria to be liberated. And all these jihadists here are in this region of Syria. Now, that's a very troubling area, especially all around there. If we begin to look at this, you also have a lot of forest in this area right here around Idlib, a lot of mountainous terrain in this area as well. It will be a very, very hard-fought battle. And that's something we got to keep in mind. Very difficult battle that lays ahead for the Syrian government. But it just depends on how much of this forest, though, is under Syrian control already that would allow them to slip in on Idlib. I doubt very much of it is. So therefore, all these jihadists that have been going up in this area no doubt have made a very strong fortified front to fight against the Syrian government when that time comes. So that may be a very, very bloody battle, but at the same time, no doubt Russia and Syria will launch a heavy campaign. Now, as far as bombing from the air. But Israel, on the other hand, is not very happy about this because, after all, unfortunately, we've had a lot of our government in Israel that has been supportive, not necessarily always directly, but certainly supportive, as we've seen with the white helmets that were removed out of the country by Israel. In fact, there are conflicting reports now saying that Israel did not move them into Jordan, but rather moved them through Israel to get them to the safe passage to other countries such as Canada, the UK, etc., there where they were planning on going. So that's very troubling to find out indeed, and to see, not only the white helmets, but the fact that this war is definitely not over in Syria. And now Israel has also moved over to their border the defense shield systems up into that area as well. And David Sling, we have the Patriot missile batteries up in that area. And I can't blame Israel for that. I don't, because you have to understand Israel has a right to protect its own border from those types of bombs that could come flying in against Israeli civilians. But it's also put there because as the Syrian army is taking out all of those jihadists that are embedded around Quneitra, as their bombs are going up to land against those terrorists, Israel's defense shield goes off, and of course probably set just over the border to be able to take those bombs down. That is also helping to protect Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra and even ISIS militants that are on the Israeli border, which is pretty much a safe haven for them. Very troubling indeed. It makes you wonder who in the world is running the show in Israel. It reminds me of the biblical days when Rome was in control of Israel 2,000 years ago. And we know that when Jesus read the scripture of Isaiah 61, and he put down the scripture halfway through the verse, and he said, "This day this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." Well, the other half still has to be fulfilled in verse 2 of Isaiah 62, where he brings judgment. But that also means then everything has to be reset back up like it was 2,000 years ago. That includes Rome in control of Israel. That includes a Sanhedrin council. That includes, you wouldn't believe it or not, it's going to include another Noahide laws, and we're talking about Talmudic laws, which is something that Prime Minister Netanyahu has been pushing for Israel as a Talmudic law system for Israelis. If you have any idea how women are oppressed in Israel under the Talmudic system as it is, and the Talmudic laws that are being used against them, even in the courts today, women that are imprisoned in marriages that can't get out of those marriages, or some women where they're forced to pay restitutions to their husbands and stuff. For what? Oh my gosh, we'll get into this later. I need to go into that. You guys really need to know what's really going on in behind the scenes there and what the plans are for the very near future. Troubling indeed, troubling indeed. Moving on as well, North Korea. This was an interesting one to me. North Korea. I realize North Korea has been a major threat in the past. No doubt they probably still pose a threat because they do still have nuclear weapons. I understand that, but so does the United States. So does Russia. So does Israel. So does European nations, many of them. So does Turkey. Many nations are armed with nuclear weapons, and we're not over there demanding that they disarm their weapons. But Kim Jong-un did make some great strides when he took and he destroyed his testing facility, his launching pads. He disassembled them right before the world, with world reporters all there to watch, to see. And then when they're trying to be able to get their oil moving again, here the United States is right back again to punish North Korea. You have to have some diplomacy if you expect a little give and take. We got back our imprisoned people that were there. So Kim Jong-un has been trying to make some strides himself. But no, Russia and China blocked the U.S., though, from the stranglehold of the oil that was being done. And it says here, China-Russia blocked U.S. request for North Korea oil suspension at the UN. Pompeo and Haley call on UN states to enforce sanctions in full and step up efforts. All right, so Kim Jong-un, he's trying to do his part. But, I mean, who does Haley work for anyway? You know, I see where sometimes Trump is trying to do a good thing, like he did with Russia, trying to set business back up. And he goes there, he meets with North Korea, trying to seem to do a good thing. And I know it's all a charade. I get it. It is a charade regardless. But everybody in the background says just the opposite of what he says. And then when he comes back home, his whole team tells him to apologize. And you need to go up there and tell him you did not say what you just said to Vladimir Putin. This is really weird. I mean, if it's not obvious that we have a deep state in the United States, I don't know what to tell you. By the way, too, I am going to be going into, in the very near future, again on the USS Liberty. I cannot mention names, but I have been in touch with friends in Israel that have direct contact with intelligence officials from the time of 1967. And I have been really finding out some very interesting things about the USS Liberty. And this is something that I think the survivors of the USS Liberty are going to want to hear as well. But I will tell you this, there was a deep state very actively involved back then. And the blame you're going to find is going to shift more on the United States, even as the survivors have been saying as well, because they just left them like sitting ducks after they were hit by Israel. But it looks very much like we may have been doing more there than meets the eye. Going to be sharing some inside information on that one right there. I'm sure will stun the world, but it will not look too favorable for the U.S. deep state. And possibly Lyndon B. Johnson may have not been aware of some of the things that were going on. Anyway, just wanted to share some of these things here with you, what's going on. Also, the white helmets, Syria is saying that they need to be tracked down. Well, that's the Syria's Grand Mufti, that is. I don't care too much about Grand Muftis or anything, but I'm sure that they do want to track them down and prosecute them for war crimes. They are definitely guilty of war crimes, no doubt about it. In fact, I was looking at let's see if I've got this. I don't have it up right now, but I was looking at a remarkable, don't have it. I thought I had it here somewhere, but I don't. Very remarkable video earlier today about the white helmets. It really exposes them in details that I was not even aware of. Their propaganda, just how deep the government works in order to do this. It really brought back a lot of memories for me. And speaking of memories, I will be on the road for the next couple of days here. And also, those of you that are attending the Orlando conference and those of you that have sent in requests saying that you would like to attend, if we can still get extra room, I think that is going to happen. I've not responded to you as of yet because we are still trying to get a confirmation from the hotel. They tried to reach out to me. I was tied up at the end of the day here. They didn't get through me this evening. They'd misunderstood me. They thought we wanted more time, but I think that they do have the availability. I will know tomorrow. And as soon as I know, I won't be able to email you probably till tomorrow night, but it looks like we can expand the amount of people that can come. We still need, though, to have you registered. It is still limited to the numbers. We still have a lot of people interested in coming, so we may go up as high as 150 or even 200 people that can attend. But the meeting is a very sensitive meeting. We do need to know who is actually coming to the meeting. That's important for us, important for our safety as well. We will have security at this meeting as well. A lot of things are going to be going on. A lot of things will be said, even though it is a short meeting. A lot of things will be spoken about at this time. So we appreciate your patience. We thank you, and we thank you for your interest in wanting to be there. It looks like we are getting set for the meeting up in Oregon finally, but it'll be, I think, January the 18th of 2019. L.A. Marzulli will also be speaking at that meeting as well, my wife, myself. As of right now, that's what we have there. Our friends in Nashville, Tennessee that are working with us on a meeting there. We ended up having a death in the family, so there's been a few little snags that have kind of slowed things down for me on this end as well. So we're between that and I have meetings to discuss some of my past with officials. So we've got a lot of issues going on right now, so bear with me. I need to get back up with the brother and sister that is hosting the meeting in Nashville, Tennessee. We were setting dates on this already, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that will be in September. But again, that meeting will, as well, as soon as we get the information, we'll get that out to you. It's not confirmed as of yet, but we will try to get that. We also are working on one for Kansas. I believe it's in Kansas is where we're looking at, and I may have a little small meeting in Washington, D.C. If it's in Washington, D.C., that will be probably sometime in August. But that'll be a small meeting. It will not be announced. It'll only probably be announced 48 hours or so before it happens. There's some issues surrounding that, so it will not be something that is announced too far in advance. Anyway, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Thank you for watching the broadcast this evening. Trust it's a blessing to you. Very, very troubling times that are ahead. I'm afraid that what we're going to see, though, with this issue with Syria, especially with the way Israel is really demanding Iran to be completely out of the country, I think they're trying to cripple Syria's ability to help do the ground war against the jihadists, especially up there in Idlib. And Syria, I think, is really needing the help of the Iranians that are fighting there in the country against these jihadists in order to topple them. And that would probably cripple their ability to overrun those jihadists up near Idlib. And this is one reason why Russia is trying to make an agreement of a 100-kilometer buffer, and Israel is saying they will not accept that. That's going to turn this into an all-out war. That could spread into a world war if it doesn't come to an agreement very soon, which I think that's what they want, quite frankly. And from what I've been hearing from the elites, they want a world war by 2020. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Erev Tov.